welcome back to the Goatworn Armcast. We are on week 5. We've managed to get that. We've managed to last that long already. Fantastic. So back at it again with myself, Goatworn Armband, Guthrum of Norvik, Just Eastern Things, and the Shire Reeve. So, bit of housekeeping before we begin. First off, I noticed that my audio quality has been getting steadily worse each podcast. So I have ordered myself, on the recommendation of the the league members, a new microphone. So that will be in action from next week. You're just going to have to lump it for one session more, where I sound occasionally a bit like a Dalek. Secondly, we've kind of been viewing what works and what doesn't, and how best to progress and keep a consistent format, basically. So what we've decided is that from this week, we will be doing a topic or a theme of the week, and we'll be discussing that, and that can be based on the input of you, the audience. You can make suggestions on that. And then the next week will be a guest segment, which will largely be drawn from the pool of Patreon supporters, with the occasional special guest, like we had Bennett on. And then it'll alternate. The regular segments of the Q&A and the Farb of the Week will be week on week. So that will maintain a weekly thing, but we'll alternate between guests and a topic of the week. So hopefully that'll spread things out, mean we don't blow our load all in one go, which we kind of did.
Oi.
Yeah, I think we all collectively blew our loads when Ross entered the chat, so we do need a bit of time to recover. So that's out the way. Guthrum, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good, thanks. It's been good. I'm back to work, first day today.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be keeping me busy from now on.
Is it as hot where you are as it is here? Because currently I am constantly in a state of being covered in a film of sweat at the moment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm a welder, so it gets rather toasty.
Jeez.
Especially when you consider all the layers you got to wear when you're welding. I mean, I've got my normal clothes, which are fairly heavy cotton as they are, so they're fireproof. I've got my overalls, which are, again, heavy cotton. Then on top of that, I've got to wear a thick leather apron and thick leather gauntlets.
Jeez.
So, yeah, toasty.
Yeah, that must really seal in the flavour as well.
Oh, yes. It is, I would say delicious, but that's a fucking lie.
Just Eastern, what about you? How you been keeping?
I'm not bad. Yeah, not bad. The heat's killing me. Scotsman and all that. Ginger. And because I'm small, the heat gets to me faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Working from home, thankfully, so I don't have to venture out too much. But I did do my first walk the other day in months. It was not very nice. It hurt my feet.
Oh, was it sweaty?
It was rather toasty. Not gonna lie, it was rather toasty out there. We can see Bristol though, so that's always a bonus, I guess. It's like Mordor.
What about you, Shire Reeve? Have you been collecting taxes?
Not taxes, but I have been collecting some bits of wood from the Wirral. That was good fun. Went over yesterday. Did a socially isolated collection, and I've got a couple of really big slices of log. One of which is now I've now implanted my anvil and die into. The other one is going to be strapped up and seasoned for about a year, or at least I'll attempt to. I may just decide to make something out of it, but we'll see. And yeah, it was nice yesterday just to do a bit of a drive that was a couple of hours rather than bugger all.
Yeah.
So and apart from that, I've been suckered into the late Roman period by Ross. So I've been having a look at some of the kit that they use and asking him numerous questions.
Awesome. I've known a few people in my group are very keen on the period, both kind of a bit before and obviously the period that Ross actually reenacts. So yeah, a lot of my group have been quite keen on Ross's period, both a little bit before his period and the period he portrays himself. So I imagine his group will get a bit of traffic in the next week or so. Now, you mentioned that you went for a bit of a drive, and I feel like we'd be remiss in not bringing it up. Do you reckon that most sieges in history were as a result of armies collectively trying to test their eyesight?
That's a very good question. Well, I think, if civilian casualties arose as a result, you could definitely blame it on the eyesight.
Yeah.
No matter how many civilian casualties, because you are the siege master. You can just wipe it under the rug.
Mm.
What's this joke? I've seen it a couple times now. What's this in reference to?
Yeah, I feel left out.
Okay, so a certain aide to the government drove 240 miles, but then decided to, before he made the return journey, to test his eyesight by driving 30 miles to Barham Castle.
Which is illegal under highway code.
Yeah.
He also had coronavirus at the time, the whole time.
Yeah, and his child in the back seat. So he decided to test whether he was safe to drive with a child in the back seat.
Oh my
He
god!
couldn't make it up. Well, I mean, he did, but so, hence the running joke now that if you want to test your eyesight, go visit the nearest castle.
I see.
But yeah, it's that joke's been burning a hole in my pocket since this morning, so I had to chuck it out there.
I've not seen a political opinion that's been that's united so many of the different wings as much as that one has in a long time.
Yes. Yeah, it's I think bar the unification of various Anglo-Saxon nobles and Danes under Herod the Wake, maybe that might come close to unifying people.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah. We won't dwell too long on that one because I know that's getting discussed to death.
Yeah, we try to avoid politics anyway.
Yeah. But officially, fuck you, Dominic Cummings. We will start off with a couple of questions for our Q&A this week, and it's quite some interesting ones actually. And this one is from Jarl Tallboy, who you'll recognize from my comics. He asks, if you could observe one historical event firsthand, what would it be?
The Baltic Crusades.
Oh yeah, and why is that?
Because I think it's a good example. One of the few examples of not only did these people decide to go and kill a load of other people because they were of a different religion, they weren't of a different religion. And the story, if anyone who doesn't know what the Baltic Crusades were, basically a load of crusaders were bored and decided they were going to go and destroy the last bastion of heathenry in Baltic Scandinavia.
Teutonic Order, is it not?
I think it might have been the Teutonic guys, yeah. But the main thing with it was that region had been Christian for about 300 years.
So the Baltic side was, but the Lithuanians certainly weren't.
Oh yeah, but the main bit they were purging was the key Baltic area, and yeah, it just ended up being a massacre of their own people. It's insane, really.
That's dark.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to see how that sort of thing can be allowed to happen and see how they would have tried to excuse it, because there are multiple stories about how they got away with it. You know, like there was one where the opposing defensive force of the town that they attacked had a Lamb of God flag, and they basically said, "Oh no, this isn't their Lamb of God flag. They stole it from us," and then they burnt it to destroy all the evidence.
That's
That's
very Warhammer Inquisition.
Yeah,
you know.
It's this is the thing about the Crusades. I don't think they should be glorified.
His fault.
I knew that was going to be the response to that.
Of course.
That's a hot take, but yeah, that's certainly an interesting thing to watch. And certainly you'd learn what the colloquial term for you team killing fucks would be at the time.
I think that the Teutonics used to shout, was it Furia Teutonicus? The Teutonic Fury, as far as I'm aware. But my experience is only medieval too.
Okay.
It
go on.
just baffles. It just baffles. It's. I think a lot of I think that period of history has a lot to answer for when it comes to modern xenophobia.
So what about you, Just Eastern then? What's your period of history, your event in history that you would want to bear witness to?
I've got so many. Outside of obviously Viking Age, I'm a huge tank nut. I like tanks. I'd like, I also have a huge interest in kind of Russian history. If I had to choose between kind of the majority of stuff, I would like to see. Oh, it's such a hard question. I don't know. I'd like to see how the Rurikid dynasty was formed in Russia, which were the very first kind of.
That's the
dynasty
really
back in the day.
long Rus one, isn't it?
Yeah, they went from approximately 800 AD, roughly, all the way up to Ivan the Terrible. And you think about that, that's longer than our monarchy has been on the throne. Well, longer than our current monarchy.
That's more akin to sort of Egyptian time span, in terms of a dynasty.
Yeah, well, this dynasty was, nobody really knows the origins of it, but we assume that it was Swedish raiding and then just falling in with the locals pretty much. Just that whole entry, just to see kind of how, because you think about modern Russia has been developing since then. It's a little bit different to the rest of the world because Russia's never had that identity till much after we did. But it would be really interesting to see that, considering they become princely states afterwards, with the boyars and just that influx of different cultures up there. The historical part being they chose Orthodox Christianity over Islamic, is Islam, I guess, because they could drink, which is about the most Russian thing I've ever heard. But I'd be interested in seeing that, or anything with Genghis Khan, because Genghis Khan.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a solid answer, honestly. Genghis Khan rampaging across half of the known world. But yeah, that's a fascinating answer regarding the Russian dynasties. Guthrum, what about you?
It's not really something I've spent a great deal of time thinking about, if I'm honest. The first thing that comes off the top of my head, which in hindsight now sounds really, really, really boring, is the treaty between Alfred and Guthrum, where they basically
sliced up England.
Yeah, more or less. I just want to see how that went down.
That would have been a fascinating conversation to be a fly on the wall for, I imagine.
But now I'm actually looking into it. I've got the Wikipedia page up here. It is, apart from the territories, it appears to be agreements on peaceful trade and the were-guild value of the people.
That is actually one of the references now that we have that explains what people were worth in relativity to each other, which I think is really important because you can then quantify it. Because it's all well and good saying, well, there's this status and this status, but you can literally say in a monetary value how much one was worth compared to the other.
Yeah.
Which I think is fascinating.
But actually, sitting there while they're writing it up, I think it's be a lot of humming and hawing, which I can't stand. But if I had to answer the question just on the fly like that, that would be my answer.
That's fair enough.
I think that. That's, sorry.
No, carry on.
I was just going to say it reminded me of another one that would be quite good, which is another two, which is the formation of the Doomsday Book and the events surrounding that, the hundreds and thousands of people who would have had to go to every area of land, every possible corner of the country to write about it and record all of this information. And I think that's really fascinating that they did that. And of course, another one being the Magna Carta.
I watched. Has anybody on a subject of the Magna Carta? Has anybody ever seen the movie Ironclad?
Yes.
Yes.
So I watched it again, and that guy getting his feet chopped off and catapulted to this day is the best thing I've ever seen in a low budget movie.
I remember seeing the cover, and I remember thinking I'm not going to watch it.
No. Go in with an open mind. It's shit, but the low budget CGI. Is it CGI? It could just be some butcher meat they bought because they couldn't quite afford CGI. It's worth watching. Top tier crap.
Yeah, my girl Sarge actually operated the trebuchet in that movie.
Was it meat? Can we find out? Was it meat?
I will ask him and get that confirmed.
If you do that, you will be fixing a debate me and my brothers have been having for years.
Yeah, because he met Vladimir Kulik very briefly. Bulvai, who played the exact same character, but in weirdly like the irregular Danish mercenaries, as we say at Templecoombe. With actually, we've joked that Templecoombe Medieval Fair Ironclad is if you made that event into a movie, where you have knights, Templars dressed as knights and Vikings playing irregular Norwegian mercenaries.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's.
I never thought of it like that.
I don't blame them in terms of the event for justifying it that way for a multi-period one, to be fair. But I do think that's interesting that, if you got all those together as what they're quote unquote supposed to be, oh god.
The fun thing about Templecoombe is that we have everything on the field except the period it's supposed to take place in. It's supposed to be roughly a bit of a fictionalized take on the dissolution of the Templar Order, and we've got some Hospitaliers or Hospitallers. I never know quite how to pronounce that, but no Templars. We have some 15th century knights. We have a couple of Norman era, and then quite a lot of Vikings, and I think 3 Napoleonic cannons.
Can I ask a question with regards to that? I've heard about Templecoombe and I've seen pictures and such. And you mentioned Templars, and actually I know we spoke about it off podcast before, but I've been curious, and this is a little spicy, and I apologize in advance, but I've been told the reason we don't see very many Templar groups is because a lot of people see Templar as racist. Do you feel that's true? Because to me, it's no different than anything else when we reenact. Personally, but I've yet to see Templars.
I don't think reenacting it is bad. I think glorifying it is bad. In the same way, glorifying any of what we do is a bit dodgy.
They're going around playing as, well, for lack of other words, sometimes reenacting as Vikings or Saxons or whatever. And yeah, everything does bad things. But the Templar thing just stuck in the mind because I've yet to see a Templar group.
I think I've seen them. They do it badly.
Yeah. I think it's also one of those things where, although they kind of came out of England, there's not very much in the way of events that happened in England to do with the Templars.
Mhm.
A lot of the main events in history takes place in the East, and occasionally in Europe, like what happened in Paris. And I think that dominates UK reenactment quite a lot. That unless it happens here, it doesn't get reenacted so much because it doesn't have relevance. And I think that's a bigger reason than any untoward, like, oh, there's a bit of a view about
that would make sense, because it kind of falls similar to what Ross was saying, where although we have roaming groups, it's not as big here, is because it's kind of, they were here, but they're not massive, I guess. So I kind of get what you see with that. Then that's fair.
Yeah. So I guess my answer to the question of events in history I would have liked to have witnessed, it's kind of an easy one, and it might be a slightly obvious one, but the Siege of Vienna, where the Ottomans choked their lead in the last minute and got steamrollered by the arrival of the winged hussars. It's just, call me a romantic, but it's just a classic image of history of that desperate last stand and the relief force coming in at the last moment to turn the tide. And it just fascinates me to see how close that battle was at the end. The walls were falling. The Ottomans did have the vast advantage, and I think a day or even hours arriving later than they did would have been a vastly different story.
That's an interesting one. The Siege of Vienna is obviously massively ingrained into Eastern European culture, pop culture now, with bands singing about it. Sabaton being the one I had to really, really, stop myself from doing it. I'm actually I'm going to paste a little screenshot ever so quickly into the Discord. I don't know if you're going to use it in the podcast or whatnot, but if you actually look at what I'm on YouTube at the moment, look what's on the right hand side: Sabaton, Wing.
Yeah.
So it's literally, it fitted it so well. That'd be a really interesting battle to watch, man.
The other part of it is that it inspired the Battle of Pelennor in Tolkien's work, with the arrival of the Rohirrim forces to relieve Gondor. Again, in very similar circumstances, walls were breached. It was looking desperate, and then a quite famously mounted cavalry force came and relieved the whole thing. So yeah, I'd love to have seen that firsthand, from a safe distance away. Maybe up where the cannons were, the Polish cannons, not the Ottoman ones, because they got thoroughly thrashed. I was trying to find a nice way of saying,
that was that their biggest defeat in that part of Europe? I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked into that period of history.
It was getting on for it. Yeah, it was certainly a significant loss.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the second question, and leads on very nicely into our topic this week, was how much money should one spend on beginner kit? And I think to answer that best, we'll just segue smoothly into the topic of discussion this week, which was brought on a bit by, when we're talking about Farb of the Week, and we, on each of our respective pages, rip into bad kit and poor reenactments quite a bit. But we do try and keep it constructive here, at least. We go over the whys of, why something is shit, basically. And we thought putting our, swords where our mouths are we'd show off where we started with our kits, what was wrong with it, and where we've ended up, and also a bit of a beginner guide so people can avoid making the mistakes maybe we've done and mistakes that people have historically made with purchasing their first kit. So who wants to offer their first reenactment kit to be picked?
I'm happy to go first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Guthrum.
Right. Slight disclaimer. This isn't my first kit. This is my first full kit. Like head to toe. Because my first kit, if I really thought about it, the first things I've got pictures of me in would be a pair of jeans, a hoodie, and a helmet. And that's not a lot of fun. So I went with this, which is my first full head to toe kit.
Fair enough. So looking at it, what are people thinking? What are we picking up on? Because as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty solid.
Okay, so I'll probably be the least experienced of you all in terms of this. So from me, and as someone with very bad kit, if you were one of my brand new members, you've turned up, you got to one training session, you've spent whatever you've spent, you've turned up like this, I'd ask you to cut your sleeves down a little bit and maybe make your axe a little bit bigger if you can.
It does look a little bit stumpy.
I think that could be the angle. That was a decent axe.
I don't know about you guys.
That's a jackhammer.
I don't know about you guys, Just Eastern, but is it armpit to hand for you for lengths?
Or in terms of Eastern combat?
Just for axes for you guys.
I
mean like recommended axe half lengths.
We don't have an axe length guidance in Eastern, technically. If my members turned up on one, I'd say I want you to be able to touch the top of the axe realistically. I don't know, maybe 2.5 foot, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to get my axe and measure it.
I think mine's a couple of feet, but mine is about exact from armpit to hand, which I find is quite a good little.
Yeah. That would do it. That would do it. I think if you're tall or whatever, I would probably stress go a little bit longer myself, just so you've got a little bit of extra length on it. But that depends on the axe head and such. I actually think he's got some really nice kit there for his first file set, personally.
For a first proper impression.
I mean, I'd
should
pick up on the.
Should I tell you what I think?
Go on.
Because I am my own worst critic.
Go on.
The colours are far too vibrant for the material, because that's all linen.
Mm-hmm.
What are you portraying, though? What was the age? What was the part to portray with that?
The aim
that blue is still very like dark. I mean, dark blue is like.
That's ultra king status.
It's like king. Yeah, it's very rich.
Whereas I was definitely not portraying a king. I called it a wealthy Danish Then is what I was aiming for.
A good blue, I find, if anyone's interested in hearing the sort of color you're looking for, anywhere in the region of the color of copper sulfate. So that like copper blue, like not necessarily dull, but still quite light. That can look really fucking good.
The next thing I would personally come to is the Winningas, the leg wraps. They're undyed.
That's not inauthentic, but I'd say it's a status
for
mismatch.
the status. It's a mismatch, absolutely.
I've kind of told my guys if you go for that bleached kind of color, I see my guys, they're not my guys, but if they have windings and they go for like an unbleached color, to try and if you're dyeing the material himself, which some of them are now, dye the winding is in with them. So it's going to come out the same color as at least one of the items, preferably the tunic.
Well, what I was going to add later on when we talk a little bit about our advice for getting kit is, but buy the Winningas in white or unbleached, whatever you want to call it, and then undyed, and then you can then dye it whatever color you want.
Thing I'd come to is the sheath suspension. That's a very Baltic style.
Yeah,
It's Baltic.
I
Has
was
no
going to bring
place.
that one up.
No
It's,
place. No place on a Dane.
Hmm.
Although you
It's
can't
nice,
see it. It's also an Anglo-Saxon sax, which I suppose
which shouldn't be worn on
isn't
the side if you're being technical.
exactly. The liner of the helmet, which is the same material as my trousers, the bright orange cap of death. You can't really see it in that picture. I'll have to get a close up a bit later. But the stitches on that are about an inch long each, probably more. They are abysmal. Absolutely. I'm not a stitch counter, but that was terrible. That was god awful.
Yeah. I mean, for my money, as first kits go, this is far from the worst defending kit. But it's kind of, it does slip a little into what we've discussed before about buying all the flash nice kit, because that is a very nice helmet. That is some nice looking mail, decent axe, and a very pretty Sayax and sheath. But as you've pointed out, the sleeves need taken in on the chain. The Sayax sheath is wrong, and the Sayax itself is wrong. And the soft kit has, there are errors in that. So with that said, where would you have started instead then?
Where I would have started instead now is what I'm doing with my current kit. It's the old adage that I got told and roundly ignored the first time around. Start with your underclothes and work from there.
Yeah.
I'm now doing an impression based on a grave.
Tom's just happy because his underwear arrived today.
Yes, my lovely linen brays arrived today, which are lovely. I am genuinely in love with them. But yeah, I'm starting first with me brays. Then the next thing on my list is a Viborg shirt. You might have heard me discussing it when you first came into the chat earlier. Then after that, I will probably go for hose, garters, and a Hedeby style tunic over the top. And then lastly, I will probably get a nice new set of shoes based on the Hedeby finds. Because I've already got loads of Hedeby stuff, so I might as well top it off with Hedeby style shoes.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. What would you award yourself out of our arbitrary scale?
Are we Farb of the Weeking ourselves?
Yeah, just
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
2 out of 6 bright blue linen tunic.
That was very loud.
He's screaming into the mic in anger. He is.
Yeah.
You're ruining my leveling, goddammit.
Because I tried it about 6 times at this point.
Okay.
I'll be a little bit less harsh on him. I if one of my members turned up looking like that after a month or 2 or even 3, without much guidance, I'd be very happy with him. Obviously, I'd be pointing out the stuff I'd want him to work towards, but all things considered, man, I think that's a very good first set of kit.
I'd give him a good, solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have 6 Tostitos out of 10.
Yeah. And I would say -3 woofer points, because you're not, you're going in the opposite direction to woofer there. So let's have just Eastern. Let's go with you.
Jesus Christ.
I'd like to note at this point that we've discovered someone who's smaller than just Eastern things with this this first picture.
That's adorable.
Yeah, we were good friends. We are good friends. We just haven't seen each other in ages. Um,
Oh, he's so cute.
that was when we do this podcast live. I am fighting each and every one of you. I swear.
Yeah, I don't do combat, so you have to miss me out.
Gleamer. We'll settle it with arm wrestles.
Starts a bar fight with his own
Arm wrestle.
podcast members.
So I was about, I want to say I was about 2 months into doing it officially. Although I'd been in the group for about a year at the time. This is probably about 6 years ago, potentially. Didn't know very much about anything. Didn't have very much money, low end job. So the tunic was made for me by a friend who's in the group as well. I didn't choose the linen. I didn't understand the dyeing at the time or anything. So she just said she had some linen there, and I got her to make this really simple. Even now, apart from the color, I think it's fine. It's a very simple.
To be honest, a sort of
under.
grey blue that it is quite a nice color. It's not too vibrant a blue, if that makes sense.
In terms of lacking a belt and stuff, I actually hadn't visited a Viking trader at the time or anyone that sells any of our stuff. And at that event, funny enough, Merchant of Menace turned up. So I still have the belt that I bought on that day out in my kit bag out there. I bought one of their kind of blood orange-ish belts.
As far as belts are concerned, I think I've only bought one belt. All my other ones are made from like blanks and fittings.
Yeah,
so that's a good option as well.
And for those, if you just following on that ever so quickly, for those that are craftsmen like myself, making a belt is incredibly easy. It really doesn't take any skill at all.
It's one rivet.
Yeah, you can rivet. Some people sew them with sinew on as well, but definitely if you're going to do it proper, try and rivet if you can. But in terms of trousers, it was just Primark special white linen trousers. So definitely the lower end. I think the only thing there that I had, which was semi-authentic, my kit wise, is the 2 toggle shoes, which I purchased on that event as well. And again, still sitting out behind me. Although they are broken, I need to fix them, and I've got a new pair now.
To be fair, the kit I'm seeing in this photo isn't bad. I mean, again, like with I
wasn't doing combat at the time. I didn't have any fighting kit. It was literally just getting into it. Like, imagine, I thought it was LARPing, and I was not up for it whatsoever. So I put 0 effort into it.
So you tried it for a bit to see what it was actually like, and then
pretty much, Now I do Eastern, and we do this podcast and everything. So obviously I bit the bug pretty hard, but I think the only thing that I really truly dislike what I've got there, or 2 things actually, is I had no idea what I wanted to portray at the time. Looking back on it now, I would give myself some pointers. I'd be wanting to say try and get some leg wraps, some wingdings, because they look nice. Because those are too long for me. Anyway, they would look a little bit nicer, and get a brooch of some sort to hold the neckline together, or a pin, or something.
I think also a big point, and I think this is a really important point to make for a lot of new guys getting into it, is wear your kit like you wear it every day, wear it with pride, because you see so many people who've got nice winnies, but they're badly done up, or their tunics a bit scruffy. They say they've rocked it through their belt, but it's higher one side than the other. And I've done that before. I mean I look nothing like as I do now, where when I didn't properly understand these sort of costume adjustment things, but it really makes the impression. It really does.
It's the little things, exactly like you said, Dev. The little things make it. And I don't mean like jewelry or anything. Like you said, good fitted tunic made to you, not generic. So you can always tell when a good craftsperson makes you something. If they do it. I've never made anything myself in terms of clothing. and it's the same as like a suit in real life. It's tailored to you. So even like without a belt, like this should have fitted me a little bit better. But obviously, the sizing for the person that had done it for me didn't do it quite correctly on the time, you know. Whereas the one to the other side, I'd say the little guy, but you know, we're both little, but his one actually it is, you know, fits him as it kind of should in my view. Yeah, but yeah, no, you bang on point here. The little things making it work nice. You know, you wouldn't wear your t-shirt half tucked in one side and your sock, up over your trousers.
Well, there's a good example when we get to my one of the. I don't know if the hem was actually uneven when I made it, or if it is just like pulled in a bit too much. But you can see it's all wavy on the front, and it's just the small details that really make it.
Yeah, I'm a soft kit goes. I'm starting to feel slightly anxious now because both of yours have got far fewer sins than what I'm about to reveal. But yeah, it's not the worst I've seen. And you clearly at that event you found a decent supplier and immediately picked up the nice bits that you would.
Yeah,
a decent pair of shoes and a belt make so much difference,
I think what actually happened is I bought the shoes which I'm wearing at the event. I was like, I'll buy the next piece a little bit down the line. I had so much fun that day doing stuff. I went back and bought the necklace. And I was like, oh yeah, I want a belt as well. And I went back and bought a belt. And before like 4 shows had gone, I had a weapon from Mum. I had shoes. I had so many bits from them. It's ridiculous.
So what should we score this then?
I'm gonna give myself 1 Tostito because I don't like it.
I'm not going to be as harsh as Just Decent Things and himself. I think that's a good solid 4 out of 10, 4 5 out of 10. It's the attempt is still there, and it's definitely better than a lot of it's better than all of the Farb of the Weeks we've had. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Guthrum, what are you scoring it?
I think I'd go even further than Shire Reeve, if I'm honest. I'd probably give it a solid 5.5 out of 10, because with a little bit of tweaking, that not even as big as mine, where the details are kind of irreversible. That one you just need to add a little bit more: a belt, a brooch, winningers, and then all of a sudden you've got a fairly decent low status impression.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
So absolutely,
I'd give it half a person.
Oh God, I can't wait to fight you.
Oh dear.
It's true. Right. This podcast is actually 3.5 people.
3.5 men.
So, Shire Reeve, let's have you up.
Yes.
That is quite the expression you're pulling. I don't know if we're linking this out for
in the top one.
Yeah.
That was a very, very hot day, about 35 degrees, if I remember correctly. For most of the day, I was dressed in tucked in Viking shirt sort of style. The earlier end, because it was an earlier event. And we had a display where we did a boat burial, and for that boat burial, I got kitted up in my wool, which meant I was absolutely baking.
So you're not holding in a shit. You're just uncomfortable in another way.
Nah, man, it's a bit of both, isn't it? Obviously, a bit of both.
Oh yeah, for sure. And well, the kit is the same in the 2 pictures, so we'll just use the one from the event because it's a better demonstration. I'd actually made, apart from my winning gas, I'd made all of my soft kit, and I'm gonna be honest, it left a lot to be desired. My the main problem was when I dyed my cloak and tunic, I didn't have a big enough pot so they went a bit patchy, a bit like tie-dye. And this isn't a great look, if I'm honest with you. It's not, like, inauthentic per se, but it looked terrible. And then I was also... Back on the wearing front, you can see I've not exactly perfected my my Winnengas tying technique or my tunic level adjustment. And my cloak pin is on the wrong side. But I mean, it wasn't bad for a first attempt, I'd say. Guthrum actually has that cloak now. He bought it off me.
Yes.
The cloak pin, if you don't mind me asking, how is that the wrong side? I was always told your cloak should sit on the side to cover your sword, and in your case, it is because it's obviously it's a cloak. You're a warrior.
So what I'm doing basically, I'm wearing it too low down. So if you look at my current kit picture further down for a second, you'll see where it sits. So it's really high up on my right shoulder, which means it is covering the left side of the weapon. The way I have it there is it's almost like it's in the middle, so it's covering both sides. But then it doesn't free the weapon arm. It means the weapon arm is really restricted.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
So
just in terms of covering the blade was all I would say.
Oh, totally, yeah. It's still covering the blade, but it's not giving me that freedom in my right arm, which was the main problem with it, really. And you know what? I think my first sword scabbard was actually all right. I made that myself, and I don't think I did too bad a deal on it. That's been sold on now to a newer member of another group who's now using it as their first sword, which I think is somewhat poetic. But yeah, I'd give it maybe another 6 out of 10.
The materials are obviously right. It's been handmade. What would we say about the colorings? Because that looks. I mean, I'm not too clued up on my.
So the Winnengas, the Winnengas were the nicest bit of kit I owned, and one of the nicer bits I still own. They were not cheap. They're hand woven and hand dyed. That's a Madder Bath. So that kind of red is perfectly achievable. The yellow is a perfectly achievable color with weld, I think it is, for yellow.
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, you can get some really bright, like day glow yellows with weld, and the tunic is a sort of rough mid madder color. So the colors are okay. It's just the quality of the dyeing. I was shit at it, if I'm honest with you.
I can see. Yeah, I can definitely see some uneven patches.
Yeah, I should have machine dyed it.
Yeah. Because I thought it was sweat patches to start with. I
would, yeah. I wasn't.
It does look more tie dye.
Joking aside, after this weekend, because this is a freshly dyed tunic, when I came away from this weekend, the shirt that I was wearing underneath my tunic had orange patches in the underarms. From where I'd sweated onto it, with the tunic over the top. Not a good look.
Yeah. But anyway. Again, that is, you've handmade everything. It is based on authentic patterns. The colors are right. It's more in the execution than any real inaccuracy.
I think the most egregious thing is the penannula, because we don't have too much evidence of like penannulas themselves.
Yeah, to my knowledge, it's either Hiberno-Norse, full-blown Norse, or a Baltic thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
you mean in the context of it being Anglo-Saxon? You mean?
Yes, he's portrayed as Saxon.
Right, I was going to say, I was thinking, hang on, I've got loads of sources on penannula brooches. What are you talking about?
No, I mean specifically for the culture I was representing.
He's clearly presenting a Saxon due to the way he's wearing his scabbard really high.
Yeah.
That scabbard style is beautiful, and I will fight anyone who says that wearing it like that is not the supreme way of wearing it.
I know, but when you walk, it goes in your armpit.
Oh no,
And it's annoying.
I've had more problems with it, like lower down. I once fell and it went into my armpit when it was lower down. It was really so the this isn't this one. This is my newer one, but the chape dug into the wet ground, and which basically created a spike that was attached to my arm. Which the pommel went straight into my armpit. It hurt a lot.
We had a guy in my old group wearing a hardcore scabbard at his belt. He fell over in a show fight, landed on it, and it did what yours did, dug into the ground, shattered his ribs, and what we didn't realize at the time was it also punctured his lung.
God.
Oh, actually, no, it had broken his ribs on that hit. Then he fell down, tried to catch himself, but then hit his elbow on the way down into his ribs, and that forced him into his lung.
Well, the thing people don't realize is you hear all these stories about woodcore scabbards snapping. I've never seen one snap. They are very, very strong if they're done right.
Oh yeah, mine snapped.
What was the material?
It was pine, I think.
There's your problem.
Yeah,
you want poplar or American tulip wood.
Yeah,
I think it's called.
it was my first attempt. So I was kind of happy that it worked at all. But yeah, when I did the Spanish Archer and drop elbowed the guy, I landed bodily on the scabbard and snapped it.
No. Yeah, the problem with the pine, and the reason I always use poplar, is that pine is also really, I think it's acidic. It's either acidic or alkaline. So what'll happen is over time it'll rust the blade when it's inside, which is not what you want. Poplar is really pH neutral, which is why it doesn't do that basically.
I might have to ask you to make my next scabbard then.
oh God, no! Get a professional to do it. But things like oak as well can be really bad for the wood. Not for the wood, sorry, for the blade.
Sure.
Well, iron is bad for oak as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It just sucks in all the oxides and goes a horrible black.
Yeah, it sort of bleeds out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what should we give this then? Because it's the kit's fine, really. It's the execution is the nature.
I think just to preface that, I think the wearing of this kit is why I like to make sure I'm hot shit with how I wear my kit now, because I know what I was doing wrong, and I want to make sure that never happens again, or at least try for that not to happen again.
All right. I mean, I'm happy to give that a decent cup of salt, really. Throw that in with your next machine die.
It's well past that phase.
So shall we get to the meat of it then? Because so far it's been small things. But if you feast your eyes upon my first kit.
Oh no.
First evolution before exposed to a salt stone.
Is this the one where you've got the spear, holding the spear?
Yep.
Oh man, what's it like? You like playing Night Owl in Watchmen?
Oh dear, why are your trousers shiny?
Yeah.
Oh, his tunic too. Don't forget his tunic.
I've had plastic ground sheets less shiny than that.
So, can I list some things?
Go for it.
That helmet, that mail, that tunic, those gloves, that sayax, that sayax sheath, those trousers, those Vinnegas, I
Is
can't
it,
see the axe
is it
enough
butted
to comment.
chainmail or is it riveted?
It looks like butted as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was still my potted set.
I don't think it's zinced though, which is okay.
No, it was darkened. It was like a dark set.
I don't blame people for having butted for price reasons, although riveted is getting cheaper, obviously. I think that the main thing that's really annoying me is that your winning gas aren't woven. They're like cut out of fabric.
Yeah.
So when you try and tie them properly, they will just sort of knot.
Yes, yeah. So go on.
And just to add to what Alex was saying, they don't stretch over the contours of your leg properly either.
That's exactly it.
You'll never get a decent hold on them. So you'll.
So let me fill you in on this because this is objectively bad, and there are several reasons for it. Partly, my approach to acquiring and sourcing the kit. Oh no, I think the only thing that's authentic there are my shoes, my turn shoes.
Is this pre-war free war bands?
Oh yes, yeah. This rapidly changed for the better over the next couple of years, thanks to the introduction of Barcy, who's in my comics and who a few of you know personally. Because prior to that, him joining, there was no authenticity officer. We were largely a fighting orientated group, and whilst my Jarl at the time had fairly decent kit and set a bit of a standard himself, the culture of the group at the time was far more leaning to pop culture.
Is this the same group you're in now, or was this the other one?
No. This was
right. Yeah.
So my method of sourcing kit was to look at pictures online and to look at what other members of my group were wearing. So I didn't look at a grave. I didn't look at a historical source or anything. I looked at pictures and I looked to what my peers had bought and what they were wearing. Now, that is a pretty egregious error in any hobby, really, especially reenactment. And it was a classic case of inherited wisdom. So my spear is all right. The axe is quite nice, but you'll notice another sin. It's on an axe loop.
Oh, it's an axe. It's a metal axe ring as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I did think, just on the subject of axe rings, and I only found this out recently. There is a place for rings in terms of securing an axe, but it's not on a loop. It's actually just placed onto the belt itself, and there is a diagram I've linked that demonstrates how that works.
Oh, okay.
But this is very much a bought at the event.
Oh, I see. You turn the belt itself into the loop.
Yes.
That's very clever, actually.
But what I did here was I simply went to one of the stalls at this event and picked up an axe ring to be able to carry my axe into the fight as well.
To be fair, I did that when I bought my Warhammer for my later stuff.
Yeah.
Same day.
So yeah, I was in very much an environment of authenticity was looked down on as stitch counting, and we were there to not largely fight and have fun. And it wasn't until exposure to other groups at Viking events, Viking run events, that I saw how good authentic kit looked. Because my next tunic after this was fitted and was handmade, but it was linen. And it just did not compare to seeing guys in woolen and decorated tunics. So I must admit, I was initially, not dragging my heels, but I was slow on the uptake with improving my kit. But once I saw how well it could be done, I rapidly traded in the cotton for wool, the butted for riveted, sourced my information on kit before, buying and making it. So I'm an example of, reenactment done wrong. Very much so in the first year or so of my, you can't call it career, but reenactment career. But I'm also an example of not just, standing by my own advice, listening to other people, viewing how they've done kit and learning and adapting. And now my kit is, there's still room for improvement, but it's a damn sight better than that, and is good enough to stand with groups with far, very high standards and pass muster. So yeah, I look at this picture and I hate it, but I also love that, I was very lucky, deciding to take a path away from what, I could still be wearing this if I stuck around the same individuals.
Goatworn Armband could be the enemy of just Eastern things in an alternative reality.
the dark timeline.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, oh man, yeah, where I'd make memes about the Viking Regia taking things too seriously, and they're spoiling everyone's.
There needs to be a comic about this now.
Yeah, but that's
I think
my advice to go from this, because that kit is awful. But it didn't stay that way for very long. And I think to anyone listening to this who has already bought their kit and is considering, well, people are a bit harsh about my, there's stitch counters and all the rest of it. No, listen to what other people say. If they're polite about it, if they're a dick about it, take it with a bit of salt. But genuinely, if people have criticisms about your kit, listen to it, take it on board, and you don't have to end up like, well, woofer, basically. But yeah, what do you guys? Your reactions really said it all, to be honest.
I don't want to say it's a 1 out of 10, but it's a 1 out of 10.
It is, isn't it? It's.
I especially like the detail of the modern pop rivets on your knife sheath.
Yeah.
And the hollow rivets on your gloves as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
were you primarily a spear fighter?
No. So I'd actually been fighting with an axe up until this point, and I decided to. This is the one.
Don't worry. I was going to give you an extra point if you were a spearman, but now you get 0.
Okay. It was the one thing I did right. I bought an axe, I bought a set, and I bought a spear.
Yeah.
I didn't buy a sword until 3 years in.
Swords are overrated anyway, so.
Oh yeah, I barely used mine.
I mean, listen here, you little shit.
Fucking come at it, son. My 14th spears
I agree with you. Swords. I like swords. I am a swordsman. But I agree that spears are the king of the battlefield.
Yeah. If I'm honest with you, it's no worse than a picture that I have when I didn't do Viking ship and my brother was doing it. I had, some riveted chainmail, zinc plated, all that sort of crap. So it's no worse than that. Apart from the fact that you went to events and said you're a Viking. Oh God! It's bad. It's really bad.
The fact he did that once is just.
But you improved. That's the main thing, and I think that's the thing people should take away from it. Definitely. Is you improved.
So I will say 2 things. One, there's a better picture in the main battle after this was taken, because this was in the show fight bit. In the main battle, I wear a deer skin over my shoulders.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'll
Friendship
dig
ended
that
with
out
Goatworn
very
Armband.
quickly. Yeah. But the second thing is, this isn't the most awful thing I've done. Reenactment.
No, my head.
We know.
Yeah. Just
We
dropping
know.
that deep lore in for a future episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we reach episode 69.
Yes. Episode 69. We
69,
will
420.
we will reveal Goatworn's deepest, darkest secret.
The one that is an overarching, like, you know those TV shows that have like an arc that go over a
Yes.
season?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do we yeah. Oh yeah, when I found out, you gave me like I've got a brain headache just thinking about it now.
I did have a bit of an aneurysm.
If I hit my next goal on Patreon, we'll do an episode and reveal it. How about that?
I think
You've heard it. You've heard it.
that would be quicker than reaching episode 69. So yes.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously that gets a really fucking low score. So yeah, that's where we started. Obviously we've all come a long way. I've come a bit further than the rest by the sounds of it. I was looking at the entries going in the in-podcast content, and I realized just how much of a different starting block we all had.
How the fallen have mighty.
How the turns have taken. So with that, we have compiled a bit of advice for people starting out. I mean, there's been plenty to kind of pick up on and learn from seeing this, but we've also kind of compiled a small guide as to where to go first when you start reenactment. So, Shire Reeve, I know you were doing much of the lion's share of putting this together.
Oh,
so
it's fine. It was just like 5 minutes in Notepad. So, but I think, and obviously feel free to add as much as you want to this. I've just done a broad categorization of sort of shoes, trousers, tunic, winning gas, and bowl and spoon, and sword, axe and spear. And I'd actually forgotten. I want to add shield to this as well. If you're talking basic fighting kit in total. And belt, of course, although that's almost been covered already. And I think the most important bits are, these very basic clothes and the bowl and spoon. Bowl and spoon are underrated, so I think it's really important to point those out as well, because you don't want to be the guy, when food is called without one.
Well, the shame with people doing that last year at some events I went to was quite high. Everybody else is eating some food and they've got to wait for somebody else's bowl after they're done. Yeah, don't be that person.
Yeah, it's shall we include the list in the description, or maybe you have it typed out as a page here?
We can do. I was assuming
Why not both?
We'll read through it as well, and obviously
sure.
Explain. So do you want to start?
Yeah, we put together a little bit. Prioritizing soft kit is the most important bit. You can buy weapons, particularly swords and the higher end armor like chain and lamella if you're doing an Eastern impression. You can get those at any point down the line, and you don't need them to take the field and fight. But you do need soft kits. You will always need soft kits, whether you're doing living history or combat. So get your trousers, get your tunic, and get some shoes first. And we decided, so shoes, we all use Merchant of Menace to give them a little shout out. But laced types for Viking, toggles for Saxons is a broad bit of advice the Shire Reeve has put. But
there's a couple of caveats to that. I mean, there's a lot of caveats to that. But if you're looking at where to go for your impression, that's a very sort of rough piece of advice to go for. If you're doing a Saxon impression, generally stay to toggles if you can. I personally prefer the low toggled ones to the high toggled ones. They're much more comfortable on the foot. The boot style are a bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah. Trousers, we recommend linen, or linen or wool. Linen is slightly more comfortable, but wool is, it's going to keep you warm. And in the Thorsberg style, which, although is earlier than our period, it's generally accepted that this was still around for our period and is a decent style.
There are period
also,
trousers cut like the Thorsbergs.
Yeah, I should have also mentioned that the hose and braze is an alternative, although for a newbie I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Tunic, start with your under tunic, go linen on that, and undyed for your under tunic, at least initially, because whatever status you are,
Linen was hard to dye.
Yeah, linen under tunics would an undyed one is suitable for quite a range of portrayal. Then add a wool tunic on top, and this can be, whatever color suits your persona. And again, that doesn't have to be decided straight away. Now, Winninger's leg wraps. These are one of those things that we've had a discussion on it in our own group and between mates, that although they're not strictly necessary, there is some evidence to suggest that they weren't worn all the time. They're one of those things that will just make your kit.
Unless you have very well tailored trousers.
Yeah,
but that's sort of above the level we're going. Obviously, I mean, if you've got really well tailored trousers, you're probably at that level where your impression looks hot shit anyway.
Yeah, it goes from, there's a guy in tunic and trousers. It instantly looks far more distinctive and adds so much more to your kit, and it's such an easy thing to do. So we recommended Hertz fabrics. You do them by the meter for a good price. So pick those up. Avoid not ones that are just cut from fabric.
So they're sort of, someone's gone along with a pair of scissors on another piece of fabric. The way that Winningas work, they don't really mold to the leg if they're just cut from fabric. And you want about 3.5 to 4 meters per leg if you're of average size. I mean, I've got fairly chunky calves, and 3 to 3.5 to 4 meters. That's me fine.
Yeah, and that's your soft kit sorted. And everything else can be bought or made at your leisure. But that essentially stops you going to an event having bought quite a substantial amount of trash kit and looking trash. When you've got fitted undergarments that you look like they're made for you and look like, the real deal, it goes as an astonishingly long way to forming a really good impression. So we'll add a few links to reliable retailers in the description of the this video. But we've spoken at quite some length there, and hopefully that's given people a fair amount to be going on with. And drop some questions and comments and criticism in the comments below. We're happy to answer them. We've got nothing better to do at this point in time, as we're still largely in lockdown, and we're always we're passionate about what we do. All the shit
we're always nerding, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. We're always getting unreasonably obsessed about cuts of cloth and the patterns of a weld. So we're happy to answer, and if people are genuinely passionate about the hobby and want to improve, we'll give them that information freely. But and if you listen to all this and you're still adamant about wearing your fur on your shoulders and your leather armor, well, there's no helping you, unfortunately, and we'll see you in a future comic.
Yeah.
So, just before we wrap things up, we're going to give a shout out to the Art of Gambargain, who has done a couple of pieces of art for myself and for the league at large. This is viewable on all of our pages. We've all shared it, and we'll link to their page in the description below. They do some rather fantastic line art of historical portrayals, and
some of the best I've seen, to be honest. I mean, you're talking like in terms of the accuracy and anatomical correctness. It's not far off stuff like Graham Turner, the guy that does all the Battle of Bosworth and things. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I can't rate it highly enough. It's fantastic, and there's a touch of humor to it all as well. There's some rather fun images, and that they'll take requests. So check them out. Art of Gambargain. That's in the description below. As is our respective pages. The Patreon. If you want to hear the dark secret about Goatworn Armbands, let's get it to the next goal.
What is the next goal?
It's 350.
Okay.
So we've got a broach 200 now.
Beers on you then. Goatworn Armcast podcast live.
Yes, yeah, that'll be it. I'll tell you what. If we get to that stage, that is going to be a hell of an episode.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I think we should probably go for a bit longer than usual as well.
Oh,
on that
for
one.
sure, like a 2.5 hour special or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll need it. We might have to do it in 2 parts.
The descent into insanity.
Yeah. All right. So
and the thing is, we could all bring stuff to show off as well.
Yes, yes.
Either stuff we've made,
if we
we've
videoed
bought.
it live, that would be really cool.
Well, when we last met up, Alex, no, the first time we met up, rather, I had a backpack full of shit to show you.
You did. It was awesome.
But, we'll leave it there for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, this has been somewhat educational. Next week, we're going to have a guest on again in much the same style as the last. If you want to be on that guest list, join the Patreon or in some other way get our attention, and hopefully we'll see you on here. But in the meantime,
guest list like at present?
Long.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's goodbye from myself, Goatworn Armband, from Guthrum of Norvik, Just Eastern Things, and the Shy Reeve.
See you next time, lads.
See you later.
See ya.